Although we can look at the body, touch its parts, and image its internal anatomy, we remain blind to the processes of soft tissue injury, pain, and healing. We can't touch them. We can't see them. We can't depict them using even the most advanced X-ray system. But soft tissue injuries, both acute and chronic, produce physiological changes in the tissues. In turn, these physiological changes affect the thermal patterns on the surface of the body. In this way, static and changing temperature distributions provide evidence of injury, sources of pain, and healing processes. GST proudly introduces the GST Thermal Profile System, an effective, low-cost thermal imaging system for sensing and depicting temperature distributions over the surface of the body. This thermal imaging system removes many of the problems of dealing with patients suffering injury or pain. For example, the examination is passive, introducing no external energy to the patient's body. It makes no physical contact with the body and requires no unusual patient preparation. The test is both non-invasive and low cost, and therefore repeatable without cumulative biological effects or unusual expense. The GST system consists of the solid-state GST sensor and signal processing box, an advanced personal computer with a display monitor, and a GST printer. Orchestrating these parts into a working whole is the GST Focus operating system, which extends function and operating controls outward from the computer to the various system components.
Chris? Hi, we're ready for you now.
The scanning procedure is direct and uncomplicated. First, the patient is placed in a thermally quiet room. That is, a room with no temperature changes or drafts from cooling or heating devices. In 3 examples shown here, the patient uncovers the portions of the body to be scanned. Then the operator uses the GST locator to place a scanning pattern on the patient, covering the region to be examined. This grid provides a visual guide for moving the heat sensor over the body without changing the body's surface temperatures. It also provides a map of how the thermal information enters the computer and how it will later be displayed. At the end of the exam, the pattern can be removed with a damp cloth. After the pattern is applied, the patient remains in the scanning room for a few minutes to reach a thermal balance with the room temperature. The operator begins scanning by holding the GST sensor about 1 centimeter off the skin and perpendicular to the skin surface. The operator then moves the sensor following the ink grid pattern. As the operator scans, the computer provides a set of auditory cues to set the rate of sensor movement over the body. At the same time, the display shows the scan line number and graphs the temperature variations along that scan line. At the end of the thermal examination, the results of the scan are stored on the patient disc. This thermal information can be displayed on the monitor for visual examination or sent to the GST printer to produce a printed document of the scanning results. The GST Focus operating system is central to gathering and displaying the thermal images. This operating system not only makes a thermal map of the scanned area of the body, but also provides the enhancer feature. This software tool improves visual contrast among the various temperatures on the surface of the body. Both the map and the analysis results are quantitative, expressed in degrees Celsius. The result is a thermal map that is both repeatable and verifiable. The GST Patient File Manager, which is resident on each magnetic patient disc, stores the final patient data. Using the Patient File Manager avoids the traditional problems of setting up a camera to photograph a display screen and keeping images on self-developing film over time. The GST thermal images and individual patient data can be read on any GST Thermal Profile system and printed by the System Graphics printer at any time. The Patient File Manager disks come ready to use, specifically designed for patient information storage and retrieval. Each disk is dedicated to a single patient. This keeps patient data retrieval fast and error-free. The GST Focus operating system includes the Courtesy and Training Programs disk. This disk helps a new user become familiar with the techniques central to using the GST Thermal Profile system. For the infrequent user, this training system can renew skills and reaffirm the proper scanning techniques. This is the GST Thermal Profile system with the exclusive GST Focus operating system, a simple, supportable design for effective, low-cost thermal imaging. And with the GST system comes GST service and support. Operating and software assistance is available through the GST Customer Communications Center at 1-619-456-0184. Talk to your GST sales representative and find out how you can bring low-cost thermal imaging to your office or practice.